Okay. Hello, students. Jai Hind. I hope I am clearly audible. Everybody in the live session, please reply. Today is a very important session because today I'll be telling you that what kind of questions are being asked in CUET Economics paper. Everybody in the live session. So students, today I'll be guiding you that what are the important topics for your CUET Economics paper, and I will also be discussing with you the paper of CUET 2025 Economics. But first of all, I need a response from everybody who is there in the live. जो लोग भी live हैं जल्दी से reply कर दो भाई. Everybody who is live, give me a thumbs up and I'll start. Okay. I can see students still joining in. So I'll wait for 1 minute. Till then, those who have joined, do send me something in the chat section. Yes. Everybody else, come on. Give me a thumbs up and I'll start. Okay, students, if you are going for CUET 2026 economics paper, you need to keep in mind that obviously there will be 50 questions this time, and each and every question will be compulsory. There is a marking scheme of +5 and -1. Your entire syllabus of CUET economics is divided into two aspects. First is macroeconomics, and second one is obviously microeconomics. So we don't have Indian economics now. We have two portions, macroeconomics and microeconomics. Indian economics is not there in the syllabus. Now, for doing good in these papers, it is very necessary that you practice as many MCQs as possible. Like we at time will be solving it with you too many MCQs in our sessions also. But today specifically I'll be discussing with you the paper of 2025, so you have an idea that what kind of questions can be asked over there. So let me highlight for you macroeconomics and microeconomics. What are the important topics? First of all those who have connected, tell me, you are from which board? आपने कौन से बोर्ड से पढ़ाई किया? Did you study from CBSE board or from ISC board or any state board? Because CBSE board has studied in their class 12th macro and Indian economics, whereas ICSE board must have studied micro and macro, and the other state boards must have also be having different syllabus. Okay, Swara studied from Maharashtra board. And Manoj, you're from which board? Okay. We have a student who studied from CBSE board. Okay, fantastic. It's very necessary to know before I start that from which board you have studied. So macroeconomics के जो important chapters हैं, the most important chapters of macroeconomics will be, number one is aggregate demand and aggregate supply. You also call it as income determination, level of output and employment. This is going to be the most important chapter of your macroeconomic syllabus. ये ध्यान रखिएगा that most number of questions have been asked from this specific chapter. The second most important chapter in macroeconomics will be national income. The third chapter, which will hold a good weightage this specific time, will be foreign exchange rate. आप बहुत frequently observe करेंगे कि इस समय there is a lot of fluctuation going on in foreign exchange rate. तो फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रेट के ऊपर बहुत सारे प्रैक्टिकल क्वेश्चंस इस बार आना एक्सपेक्टेड है. एंड देन यू हैव ऑब्वियसली गवर्नमेंट बजट एंड बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट. बट इफ आई अरेंज इट एज पर दी प्रायोरिटी कि कौन सा प्रायोरिटी 1 है, कौन सा प्रायोरिटी 2 है, 3 एंड 4 है, सो द टॉप प्रायोरिटी फॉर यू शुड बी एडी एंड एएस. सबसे ज्यादा न्यूमेरिकल्स इसी चैप्टर में से आएंगे. And then it is going to be national income, then it will be foreign exchange rate, government budget, and finally there will be simpler MCQs from BOP, money and banking. Next, microeconomics के जो सबसे important chapters हैं, they will be first of all demand. Demand and elasticity of demand are going to be the most important topics for microeconomics. For microeconomics, the second most important chapter will be your market equilibrium. Market equilibrium, where you are being asked what will be the change in the equilibrium rate of exchange, or what will be the change in the equilibrium quantity, equilibrium price. That is market equilibrium. उसके ऊपर आपसे बहुत सारे practical based questions पूछे जाएंगे. And the third very important topic for your economics is going to be cost and production function. So these are some topics which are going to be very important. Obviously you have to cover up the entire syllabus, but if you ask me कि sir सबसे ज़्यादा MCQs कौन से topics से आते हैं, so these are the topics जहाँ पे MCQs सबसे ज़्यादा आ सकते हैं. Now, if you are planning for scoring good marks in economics CUET, what should be your strategy? Number one, you should try to first of all go through the entire syllabus, cover up NCERT syllabus if possible, यानी आप पूरा एक बार NCERT पढ़ लो. Number two, try to solve as many MCQs as possible. So we at time will be offering you entire question bank, एक पूरा question bank होगा, which will have a lot of test, a lot of questions in it. So you have to solve the entire question bank. After that, you should also solve the PYQs. PYQs आपको जरूर से solve करने चाहिए, so that you have an idea कि किस तरीके के questions past में भी पूछे गए. Students, if you are ready, we can start with the discussion of CUET 2025 PYQ. We can start with the discussion of CUET 2025 PYQ. I'll need your answers also in between so that it can become interactive. इस सेशन को इंटरैक्टिव बनाने के लिए आप लोगों को भी बीच बीच में रिप्लाई करना होगा. Okay, so I'll be starting with the first question. Whether to use more resources in education and health or to use more resources in building military services, which of the central problem of an economy is accurate for this? So in which service you are allocating more, whether you are allocating more in education and health or you are spending more on building military services, which problem is this? Is it how to produce, what to produce, whom to produce, and where to produce? This is the problem of, correct, this is the problem of how to produce. I'm sorry, this is the problem of what to produce. What to produce के problem में you have to decide that where you have to allocate the resources. Whether you have to allocate the resources more in health and education, or you have to allocate the resources more for building the military services. So this is the problem of what to produce. How to produce will tell you कि कौन सा technique of production use करना है, and for whom to produce tells you that for which section of society you have to produce the goods. So when it comes about allocation of resources, it is the problem of what to produce. See, it is not necessary to study from NCERT, but it is recommended that you once check all the topics of NCERT have been covered or not. Like we in our classes cover up the entire syllabus of NCERT. So you can go through the topics of it. If you are referring some other book, that is also fine. It will also work. Next, let's read this question. The collection of all possible, please read carefully. The collection of all possible combinations of the goods and services that can be produced from a given amount of resource and a given stock of technological knowledge is called. So all the possible combinations of goods and services that can be produced from a given amount of resource. इसके collection को क्या कहेंगे? What will be its collection called as? So in general, you know, whatever can be produced is a part of PPC, Production Possibility Curve, or also called as Production Possibility Frontier. You must have learned that topic. आपने वो topic हो सकता है पढ़ा होगा. But here the answer is Production Possibility Set. Many people answered it wrong. They have answered it as PPF or PPC, but this is actually Production Possibility Set because it is a collection and not a curve. If it would have been asked कि कौन सा curve है जो कि represent करता है, then the answer could have been PPF. But here it is collection of all the possible combinations of goods and services. The answer will be production possibility set. Next. With the shifting demand curve leftward. Now, when does a demand curve shift leftwards? Like this is your demand curve. When will it shift leftwards? Demand curve will shift leftwards only when there is a change in factor other than price. So there can be two factors which are responsible for shift in demand curve or movement in demand curve. One is price, the second one is factors other than price. Now, other than price can be income of the consumer, it can be price of complementary goods, substitute goods, population, any other factor could be there. So whenever there is a shift in other factors, there will be either rightward shift or leftward shift. Now it says due to which of the following factors there will be a leftward shift in the demand curve. Arrange the following statement in sequential order. Now, if we assume, the question is a bit different. If we assume this is a demand curve, this is supply curve, and here at this point we have market equilibrium. Suppose if there is a leftward shift in demand curve, now what will be the effect of it? First of all, if there is a leftward shift, it means demand decreases. So the first point will be at any given price, the demand is less. We have to arrange it sequentially. So this will be number one. Due to decrease in demand, it leads to a situation of excess supply. So number two, there will be excess supply. Next, due to decrease in demand, there will be excess supply. Because of excess supply, the prices of the commodities will decrease. So some producers will decrease the price of the commodity. And finally, due to decrease in price of the commodity, as you can see in the diagram, there will be decrease in equilibrium quantity and there will be decrease in equilibrium price. Equilibrium price has also decreased. This was the earlier equilibrium and this is the new equilibrium. So as we can see, equilibrium quantity has decreased and equilibrium price has also decreased. At new equilibrium, quantity and price will be less. So it is already arranged sequentially. So the correct answer should be A, B, C, and D. But there is no option like A, B, C, and D. So A is obviously first. Due to this, we can say this will be A, C, and then finally B and D. Although according to me, it should be A, B, C, and D. But to match it according to the given options, it will be A, C, B, and D. So first, at any given price, demand will be lesser. Due to lesser demand, some producers will also decrease the price of the commodity. Now there is excess supply, and finally, at new equilibrium, quantity and price will decrease. Okay, we could have also gone for one more option, shuffling these two. If there is decrease in demand, we can say there is excess supply, and due to this, the demand will be lesser. There is excess supply, therefore demand will be lesser, and hence producers will decrease the price of the commodity. So we can answer it as first one, B, A, C, and D. B, A, C, and D. Everybody, please confirm, is this clear? Now, you have to match list 1 with list 2. You have to match list 1 with list 2. Anyone who can tell me what will be the correct option for A? Analysis assumes that level of utility can be expressed in numbers. So which analysis assumes that level of utility can be expressed in numbers? It is cardinal utility. So cardinal approach assumes this. Marginal utility from consuming each additional unit of a commodity declines. This is law of diminishing marginal utility. Next, change in total utility due to a consumption of one additional unit of a commodity, that is marginal utility, and the amount of mangoes that consumer has to forego in order to get an additional banana, her total utility level being the same. So the amount of quantity foregone for one commodity in order to gain some additional units of another commodity, that is called as MRS, or marginal rate of substitution. Marginal rate of substitution. Correct. So what will be the answer? A ka first. A ka first we have in 3 options. B will be 3. Point number 3. B ka 3. So I think the answer is clear. It is option number 2. A ka first option and B ka third option. So the correct answer will be option number 2. Now let me see how many of you are able to answer this correctly. Budget set is. Tell me, this is a very simple question. Budget set is. Dash. Given the prices of the goods and income of the consumer, any bundle as long as it costs less than or equal to income. A set of price available to producer, set of bundles available to consumer. What is budget set? It is any bundle as long as it costs less than or equal to the income. The other options were also very confusing. No, it is not one. Obviously, it has given prices, given income, but It is any bundle as long as it costs less than or equal to the income. So budget set will include all those combinations which a consumer can buy with the given income as long as the cost of the goods or the cost of the bundle should be less than or equal to the income. That is budget set. So the other options are also not wrong, but the most appropriate option here is option number 2. Next, you have to find the correct statement. You have to find the correct statement. Again, I'll give you some time. Find the correct statement or statements. Goods which are consumed together are called complementary goods. Is it correct? Market demand curve can be derived as vertical summation of individual demand curve. So if we add individual demand curve vertically, then we will get the market demand curve, or if we add the individual demand curves horizontally, then we get the market demand curve. You have to judge. Price elasticity of demand is a measure of responsiveness of demand for a good to change in its price. If the consumer preferences change in favor of a good, the demand curve for such good shifts leftwards. If it is changing in favor, will it shift leftward or rightward? So here, only 2 statements are correct. Students, in this question, only 2 statements are correct. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is A and C are correct. It is option 1, A and C only. A and C only. Next, the relation between consumers' optimal choice of quantity of a good and its price is called. Yes, A and C is correct. So the relation between consumers' optimal choice of quantity of a good and its price is called. Choice of quantity of a good and its price. Quantity and price के बीच का relation, what is it called as? Since it is from the consumer point of view, it is called as demand function. If it was from a producer point of view, it would have been called as supply function, or seller point of view, supply function. If it would have been quantity of good produced and the input factors, it would be your output function, production function. I hope this is clear. Next, ये तो बड़ा आसान है. Tell me, क्या आंसर होगा इसका? Relationship between variable input and output. Relationship between variable input and output. Is it AP, MP, law of variable proportion, total product? Output per unit of variable input. Change in output per unit of change in input. And marginal product of a factor input initially rises with its employment level. Marginal product of a factor initially rises with its employment level. So output per unit of variable input is first of all average product. It is not marginal product. Marginal is if you produce, if you add one more additional unit of input, then what will be the quantity of output that is produced? So the correct answer for C is marginal product. For B, it is average product. Next, relationship between input and output. What is the relation between variable input and output? It is called as law of variable proportions. So now let us see what are the options given. A ka third is only option number 4. A ka 3 is only option number 4. Output per unit of variable input. B is first. But again, it is not given. So in that case, we can also choose one more option. B ka first, which is output per unit of variable input, is average product. C ka second, which is change in output per unit of change in input, is marginal product. Now we can also say that relation between the variable input and output is total product. And marginal product of a factor input initially rises with its employment level. This is law of variable proportions. I didn't read the fourth option very carefully. So MP of a factor input initially rises with its employment level. This is law of variable proportion. Law of variable proportion basically states that initially when you are increasing variable factors of input, your MP will rise initially at a faster rate and then it starts to decline. So seeing this, what will be the correct answer? A is 4, B is first. Correct answer is number 1. Next, in the long run. Okay, now this is a very simple question. Let me see who will answer this question. इसका कौन जवाब देता? In the long run, at least one of the factor varied. All the factors of production can be varied. Factor remains fixed. Only one factor can vary. Once again, in the long run, at least one of the factor varied. All factors of production can be varied. Factors remain fixed. Only one factor can vary. The correct answer is all the factors of production can be varied. So basically, long run का मतलब ही यही होता है that all factors of production can change. All the factors of production can change. So all factors of production can be varied. Next, the difference between, correct, Suraj. No, this is Swara Joshi. The difference between revenue and cost is known as revenue and cost. The difference is simply known as profit. It is simply profit. I think this is very simple. So I'll not discuss this much. Now let me see कि इसका कौन सही जवाब देता है, because this is one question again which many people do wrong. Dash of an output is defined as change in output per unit of change in input when all other inputs remain constant. Very recently I have discussed this, like just 5 minutes before I was discussing about this. It says change in output per unit of change in input. So it is delta output upon delta input. What is this called as? क्या बुलाएंगे इसको? Yes, this will be marginal product. So you just have to remember one thing, whenever it says change, so marginal always indicates change. So if it is marginal product, it will indicate change in the output due to one additional unit of input. So delta output divided by delta input indicates how much output you are producing with one additional unit of input. Okay. Now, why I was saying that you can read NCERT and go through once, that you have not missed any topic, because this is one topic which is usually not given in all the books. And it is there as a part of your syllabus. Like it is not there in CBSE, Still, they have asked it in the CUT examinations. What is this? It talks about returns to scale. Now, you must have learned about law of variable proportions. Law of variable proportion deals with returns to factor. That is for short run. But returns to scale is for long run. And in long run, you have three phases. Just like in short run, you had three phases: increasing returns to factor, diminishing returns to factor, negative returns to factor. In long run, you have three stages, which are increasing returns to increasing returns to scale, increasing returns to scale. Second one is constant returns to scale. And third one is decreasing returns to scale. Now, how do you judge whether it is increasing, constant, or decreasing? See, the deleted parts may be asked. Yes, I meant to say that only, that the deleted parts may be asked in the examination. You need to make sure that you have covered up all the topics. If you are planning for a top college, you cannot risk any single question in your CET examinations. And to ensure that, you have to ensure even the deleted topics have been covered up, although we'll be covering it up in our classes. So increasing returns to scale, constant returns to scale, and decreasing returns to scale. What is this? Increasing returns to scale will imply percentage change in output is more than percentage change in input. So by putting a lesser input, you are getting a greater output. That is increasing returns to scale. And when do you get decreasing returns to scale? When percentage change in output is less. When percentage change in output is less than the percentage change in input. So what does this option say? This option says that Q is the quantity of output, which is a function of x1 and x2. x1 and x2 are factors of production. They are input factors. Okay. So if these factors, that is x1 and x2, are increasing, if you are increasing x1 and x2 by a proportion, say t, t could be anything, 1.5, 2, 3 times, 4 times, you are increasing by a proportion t, and t is any value which is greater than 1. So you are in a way increasing the input. By increasing the input by t times, so it will be t times x1 or t times x2. Now, by increasing the factors of production with t times x1 and t times x2, if it is decreasing returns to scale, the output will decrease with a lesser amount. So, t times f1, f into x1 plus x2, this will be more than the t x1 comma x2. So, what does this mean? See, this in a way indicates your, I'm sorry, I ticked the wrong option. This in a way indicates your output, and this indicates your input. T into x1 indicates that how much is the change in input or new inputs, and this indicates output. So the output will always be lesser than the quantity of input that you have inserted. So what does this mean? You will be putting in more input, but the output produced will be comparatively lesser. So this was a very tricky question that was being asked in last year's PYQ. You need to go through this very clearly. First of all, you need to understand what is decreasing returns to scale. When input is more, but the output produced is less. So this option indicates that the output will be lesser, but you will be putting in more input. Okay. Next. The change in, again, a very simple question this time. The change in total cost per unit of change in output is also known as by which name? Change in total cost per unit of change in output. So it is change in total cost upon change in number of units. Change in total cost upon change in number of units. This is called as marginal cost. This is called as marginal cost. Short-run marginal cost. So you must be seeing there are a lot of questions based on production function. There are a lot of questions based on cost chapter, and there will be a lot of questions based on demand and elasticity of demand. These are three very important topics in your paper. It has been asked in previous years also, and it might be asked this time also. Again, from macroeconomics, if you say AD and AS are the most important topics. What is the shape of average fixed cost curve? What is the shape of average fixed cost curve? See, AFC is always downward sloping and it is shaped as rectangular hyperbola. Its shape is a rectangular hyperbola. Next. Marginal cost curve intersects average cost curve at the point where MC is equal to AC. This is the point where average cost is minimum. So marginal cost curve cuts average cost curve at its maximum point, its minimum point. They do not intersect at midpoint at rising average cost curve. So it cuts at the minimum point of average cost curve. Okay. Now who can answer this question? Let me see anybody. The point on the supply curve at which firm earns only normal profit. If you are earning only normal profit. So what is normal profit? Normal profit is a point where total revenue is equal to total cost. And at TR is equal to TC, profit is denoted by this sign pi, profit is equal to 0, which is also called as break-even point. So the point on the supply curve at which a firm earns normal profit, that is called as break-even cost. Okay. Which of the following conditions must hold for a firm to maximize its profit? Price is equal to short-run marginal cost. Short-run marginal cost curve is non-decreasing. See, both of the conditions must hold true. Price is short-run marginal cost. It will be true. Marginal cost is non-decreasing. We learn the condition that marginal cost should be increasing at the point. Marginal cost should be greater than or equal to average variable cost, because if it is not greater than or equal to average variable cost, in that case, the firm will be incurring losses. So it has to be greater than or equal to AVC. But the price should be less than marginal cost. This is not the condition, because if price is less than marginal cost, the firm will be incurring loss. So which of the following conditions must hold for a firm to maximize its profit? A, B, and D, I think all the three options will hold true, but not C. So the correct option should be A, B, and D only. Option number 4. Okay, the last question for the day, which I'll be discussing with you. The last question for the day, which I'll be discussing with you is, how does technological progress affect the firm's supply curve? how does technological progress affect the supply curve? So if there is a technological progress, the firm's supply will increase, and due to this increase in supply, it will shift rightwards. It will shift rightwards. Students, see, there are still a lot of other questions which may be discussed in the CUT PYQ, but I'll be sharing the PDF with you all, and from there you can solve some of these MCQs. I've discussed some of the MCQs with you, and you must have by now got an idea that what is the level of MCQs or what kind of MCQs can be asked in the examination. I have highlighted the topics for you to read in priority, and do remember, more the number of MCQs you will practice, better will be your concept. So you have to focus a lot on practicing as many MCQs as possible. I hope you enjoyed the session. Do solve the complete paper, and in case if you have any doubts, you can obviously connect with me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, students. We'll meet in the next session. Bye-bye.